when it is. I believe it's on Thursday, the 9th of December. And that's going to be from 10 o'clock till 1. So it's a 3-hour time slot. If right, try again. If this time slot doesn't work for you, you have to contact me and we can figure out something else. Your exam, your final exam, is going to be on Canvas. And before we get to the details of the exam, you would like, I'm sure most of you would like to know, how do I figure out what I need to do to get a 2.0, to get a 3.0 or 4.0? So what I want you to do, I'll go through an example is, let's suppose that your grade right now is 91%, just for argument's sake. Take 91, not 91%, just take 91 and multiply it by 7, or whatever your score happens to be. So 91, in this case, times 7. And we get, in this case, this person gets 637 points, and that's their raw score. And that's essentially how much out of 700 points they've got. So this is the key number that you need. So I'll put it over here. If you want to pass this class, you need to get a 2.0. And a 2.0 is 750 points. So if you take this guy and subtract that guy from it, you'll find that I believe it's 113. And so you will need to get 113 in the final, which is worth 300 points. So that's how you decide, what do I need to pass? Now, maybe your goal is a 3.0. Well, a 3.0 needs a total of 850 points. And I believe that that becomes 223, right? If you take these away, you need 223 in your final. And for a few of you, your goal is a 4.0. And a 4.0, you need to get a total of 950 points. And in this case, that would be 323, which means this person will not be able to get a 4.0, no matter what they do in the final. Okay. Are you comfortable about how you calculate from your particular percentage, right? So if you go and find your week 9 report, doesn't it say I got 92% and a 3.7, right? That kind of thing. That's the guy that you're going to use to get your raw score. And then you use 750, 850, or 950 to decide on what you get. Now, for every 10 points, you get an extra 0.1 on your grade. So for instance, if you got 213, your grade would be a 3.1. If you got 153, your grade would be 2.4, right? So every 10 points is going to be the equivalent of adding 0.1. Now, every 10 points that you get in your final is going to be the equivalent of adding 0.1 to your grade. Does that make sense? Now, format of what the final is going to look like. It's going to be broken into 2 sections. Section 1 is going to be multiple choice. And there are going to be 10 questions, and they're all going to be worth 10 points. And that is 100 points. And then there's going to be a section 2. And both of these, the whole thing, will be in Canvas, just like your test 3 would be. And there are going to be 10 questions in section 2, and these are going to be worth typically 20 points. and that's the other 200 points. So that's where the 300 points in your final are going to come from. So far, so good? Right, now, section 1, multiple choice, section 2, normal questions. Section 1, I do not want to or expect to see any kind of working for multiple choice. It's just pick a letter for the right answer. Now I'm loading up a practice final here so you can get a kind of feel for what it looks like. This is already in Canvas. Right. Are you looking at Math 151 Calculus 2 practice final solutions? Okay, so let me hit that guy and maybe make it a little bit bigger if I can. There. So here we have a lot more than 10 questions. Is there 20? Yeah, there's 20 of them. But your final is just going to be 10 questions. You get a question and you get 4 choices. And all I will see in your, when you've finished the test and you've written down your answers, all I will see is question 1 is a D, question 2 is a C, question 5 is a D again, right? I do not want to see any working. It's not going to change my answers, right? There is only one correct answer for each multiple choice. So if you think it's B, but it might be C, you have to pick, you have to commit. The multiple choice should be relatively easy or at least relatively quick to do. So if you see a multiple choice question and you think I'm going to have to do some really clever, intricate, X sub and maybe a U sub after that, you're doing it wrong, right? If it's going to take you more than 5 minutes to do in a multiple choice world, it's going to be the wrong method, so it's going to be wrong. So just pick the letter C and move on, because I don't see any working. You can guess, and that's fine. You're going to only get 1 out of 4 right, but that's better than nothing. The multiple choice are in chronological order. So the first question the first question is from week 1. And the last question will be from this week. This practice final doesn't have anything, I believe, although I'm going to look to see if I can find something, doesn't have anything on solving differential equations. Don't read anything into that. It's just I never got around to putting them in. I can guarantee you are going to get questions on differential equations, right? They are going to have. Now, section 2 are the usual find answers, right? Just like homework questions, nothing really, like test 3 questions. And then if I scroll far enough down, I've given you the solution. So you can check, you can use that as a way to check that you've did it correctly. For instance, do you recognize an ugly X sum? For instance. Section 2 is chronological as well, right? So the first question is going to be area under a curve from week 1, and the last question is going to be solve a differential equation, right? And that's the kind of thing. Don't read too much into this practice final. Don't say, oh, he never put a surface area question in. That means there's not going to be one in the final. That is not what it means. If I did a practice where I put every possible question that I could ask in, I'd still be writing it right now. It would be like 5 times bigger, well, at least 3 times bigger than the one that we've got. So you're looking at this as just kind of taster, right? This is the kind of way he asks questions. This is typically how hard they are, things like that. But just because a particular thing's missing doesn't mean it's not in the final. And it definitely doesn't mean that because I've got a question here, that it will be on the final. Because there's only 10 section 2 questions. There's a lot more than 10 questions in that practice, right? So half the things that you're going to study for won't even appear in the final. That's kind of guaranteed. And half, if you only study for half the stuff, won't that be the stuff that's not in the final? That's Murphy's Law. So you have to assume everything is possible, and that way that you're going to be prepared. I think it's fair to say, because this is experience, that you will not do as well in the finals as you do in the test. Now, there are exceptions, and I'm glad when you are one of those exceptions. But a test is only 3 weeks, not 11 weeks. A test is something that's fresh in your mind, right? Test 3, you just did it in the last couple of weeks, it's still fresh. Aren't you going to get questions you haven't seen in 9 weeks? Aren't you going to get stuff that you only did a couple of examples of and they weren't in the test? So you have to really be prepared. Because if you're not prepared, you're going to get your bum bit and you're going to get a disappointment and maybe not get the grade you deserve. And I know a lot of you have got, and it's understandable, well, I've got 94%, I'm going to pass, right? But my chemistry is really causing me trouble. So I'm just going to focus on getting my chemistry done. The number of times that's going to come back and bite you is scary. Because you might be a, you might be a 3.7 right now, but it could easily turn into a 2.7. In fact, it could turn into a 1.7 if you really don't prepare at all. So I'm just giving you that warning. If you're prepared, there's no shocks. You'll be fine. If you're not prepared, the final will figure that out pretty quickly. What else is going to happen? Everything is going to disappear on the day of the final. No access to WebAssign. All of that will have gone. No access to any of the help features, right? Like examples of homework and solutions to tests. All that you will get is your PDF for your final, the place where you will upload your work in, and a link to the Zoom meeting so that I can see you. That's all that will exist. So everything else is up to you. You got to write good notes. You got to write down everything that you could possibly think of. Right off the top of my head, do you know the formula for calculating the solution to a linear differential equation? And if the answer is, yeah, I got it in my head, then that's fine. If the answer is no, shouldn't you write that down somewhere so that you'll know what it is, because you'll need it probably, right? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Do you know the formula for getting the surface area, whether it's X's or Y's? Do you know the arc length formula? Do you know what the integral of secant squared does? Do you see all those little details that are going to bite your bum if you don't have them written down? Or at least memorized, which would be better. And you are kind of spoiled a little bit. Isn't a lot of the stuff you've got, oh, well, I just need to nip onto Canvas and I can read that, formula sheet, or I can go here and get that. When it all disappears on you, you'll be surprised by how much you depended on those things. Section 2, show me every darn piece of work in you can, because you get partial credit. So if you do the right process, but you screw up with the numbers, it ain't going to cost you a lot of points. If you can only do half a question, then at least you're going to get half the points, right? It's even if you say, I don't know how to finish these ones, I know how to start them, but I can't remember how to finish them. Still do that. Every point is important. Okay, time to pause. Any questions? I've kind of bombarded you with lots of stuff.
Should we be really careful about style points? Are style points going to be actual points? Okay.
Style points will be actual points, right? So you are expected now to simplify all answers as much as reasonably possible, right? You're also expected to give exact values to answers. So if that means that the answer is 2 root 5 plus pi over 4, right? Something like that. That's what I expect. I don't expect you to say 1.234. The only exception to that would be a question where it says, give me the answer to 2 decimal places. In fact, if you ever see a question that says, give me the answer to 2 decimal places, won't you probably avoid a lot of algebra? Because once you've got your integral, you just stick it in your calculator. That was a good question. Yeah, style points are important. Now, how many? Well, a section 2 question is worth 2 points. It's probably worth about 2 points if you don't give me a decent style point, right? If you leave it kind of half done. That would be my going rate. Any other questions?
We're allowed to use notes in this, right?
Yep, as long as it's physically written down. So you might want to think about what I need to write down in notes. You might already say, yeah, I've not really been keeping up with my notes lately. You can't expect your notes to take over for your brain. If you have to look up every single question to find out, you know, here's an example which I wrote down that's like it, you'll not finish the test. And the final exam, 3 hours sounds like a lot of time, and I guess it is, but you'll be amazed at how fast it goes by. Which gives me a chance to remind you, if it takes you more than 5 minutes in multiple choice, you're doing it wrong, pick C. You do not spend 20 minutes on any multiple choice question, because see, if you did that, that would be the exam over. That time would have gone. So always think there must be a shortcut way of doing these. There must be a quick answer, right? Because there should be. So far, so good? Right, let me show you while we're at this. Some of the resources that exist right now. Here's the solutions to all your tests. Here is that final practice. If I click on this guy, hopefully it'll open up. There we go. And here is the list of your topics, right? In case you forgot what we did, here it is here. Continue. There's a guy here called class resources. If I click on that, what I have here, I don't know if you've used them, is, let's take chapter 5. If you click on chapter 5, I have some other videos, not my videos, but other people's videos. So if you want to do something about the definite integral, or you want to, here's 3 different videos on it. It's sometimes helpful to see someone else's perspective on how they do things, or how they set them up, or how they explain them. I'll randomly pick, she's very good, I like her lectures. Get on that wide, there she goes. And it looks like she's telling you about the power rule, do you see? A little video to watch. So that's one of the resources that I have. If I scroll down later on, and you click on this one, here is some stuff on the calculator. And close that one off eventually. And if you click on this one, some people like PowerPoint. So here is a PowerPoint that goes over area under a curve and Simpson's rule and all that good stuff. So until the day of the final, in your case Thursday, and all of this will be available. I've got examples on every chapter. So there's our stuff on differential equations here. I even have some PDFs from time to time, or actually I changed that back. Here is a video that I did on one of the homework questions to do with centenary mass, for instance. There we go. So there's tons, hopefully tons of things to help you. I'm going through my brain, check, check, check. I don't think there's anything I've obviously missed, but that doesn't mean I haven't. Is there something I should have told you and you don't know yet?
I'm just wondering if you have any recommendations of like where to look, if it would be in the bottom section. Like, let's say on the practice test, there's not like, you know, arc length or a question, and we want to do like more practice problems. Would we look in that bottom section for practice problems?
So if you wanted, let's say, yeah, arc length, I need practice on that. Where would be the best places to go? One of the places I would go would be to the homework section on arc length and choose, give me another example. Secondly, that set of videos, why don't you watch a video about arc length? Because what they do is they pick questions and they work their way through them. So you can actually see some examples that way. Now you could simply just pause the video at the question, do your own version of the answer, and then watch the video to see if you did it correct. That would be some of them. I don't really like the textbook, the ebook, because I've never found any textbook very helpful to learn from, right? But you could certainly look over the intro to the chapter and maybe you'll get some benefit there. So use homework, extra questions, right? You know, give me examples again. Watch some videos with it on. What else? And maybe use the ebook. It's hit and miss online. Sometimes you just need to do a search like help with arc length and see what pops up. The reason I say it's hit and miss is I've watched things and I think to myself, God, I hope none of my students watch this video because it'll confuse them rather than help them, right? So it's, and some are really good. The ones I gave are, in my opinion, some of the better ones. Anything else? Well, after the final is over, sometime later in the week, so in your case, probably Friday, I will have put your results on into, oh God, CTC link, I think it's called now, isn't it? So, and you'll be able to see your grade there. If you're interested in, I don't know, getting more information about how you did in the test, you can certainly contact me and we can do it. Monday is a review for final day. So you probably, I'm hoping, over the weekend, when you're finishing your homework and so on, you'll have some stuff that you now know, oh, you're right, I do need practice on those darn arc length. In particular, I need to know how to identify when something's a perfect square, right? Because that's very common in those questions. And so when I see you on Monday, you'll say, can we go over arc lengths? Because I'd like to see some examples of that. And I can do that on Monday. Monday is an open day. You turn up to class and you ask your question. And if I answer it, you leave. You might choose not to turn up. You're still going to get the attendance. I'm assuming that you're just doing your own revision, you know, because that's, you know, your time's valuable and you want to do something useful with it. So you can turn up and watch, you can turn up, get the answer and leave, or you can choose to just study at home, and whatever suits you. Okay, has anybody got a question for the last, what we got, last 15 or so minutes? Anything, any topic you want me to go over? Homework question, whatever.
Are we gonna have class on Tuesday and Wednesday?
No.
Okay.
So Monday is the last day. After that, it's your exam week, right? So Tuesday to Friday is exam week this quarter, I believe. So you're going to be, I don't know, doing your chemistry final and whatever other finals you might or might not have.
Okay.
Right. Anybody got a question? And
Will you, sorry, will you still have office hours on Tuesday, Wednesday?
No, because I will actually be supervising finals, so I won't be free. So if you want to talk to me, you really have Monday. And I'll be good with emails over the weekend, but I won't be good once Tuesday starts, because once Tuesday starts, it's my focus will be on finals and grading finals, and I don't, you know, I've only got so many hours in the day. But you won't have problems, right? By then you'll know it all, right? You'll be so ready for this final, you're just going to be doing it. If you send me $100 bills, Sabrina, in unmarked Canadian dollars, I'll take Canadian as well. That would help me, but not your grade. So I'm just putting that out there as a possibility. I will take alcoholic beverages as well. And my birthday is on Tuesday. So I think that's only karma, because I'm making your life a misery. So it's only fair that, you know, my birthday is, well, finals are pretty boring for me. To be honest, I love teaching, but there's nothing more boring than doing 20 plus tests where each one's the same question as a lot, you know, doing the same question 20 times, right? Doing the next question 20 times. It gets really boring really quickly. So why don't you just get 100% and make my life dead easy? Like, just get them all right, and that'll make me shoot through the grading. Because when you get it wrong, it takes me much longer, because I then have to look for partial credit. What did they did wrong? Was it a process problem or was it a silly problem, right? And those take forever. So show me every piece of working you can to make that job easier for me.
Anybody gonna eat leftover birthday cake while you're grading?
Oh yeah, that would be really good. You're going there and I'm chomping away on a big cake. Like, that's going to happen. I might be, you know, if you see this and it looks decidedly non-Coca-Cola colour, that might be an issue. But the college does frown on me doing alcohol while I'm teaching, so I might not choose to do that. I mean, your time is valuable, so if you really don't have questions, we can finish now. If you do have questions, I'm more than happy to help. Have we anything else we want to talk about?
I have a question.
Great, what you got?
It's on the 9.5 homework.
Sure.
Number
Is it the
7.
one with the the x squared in it?
Yeah,
I know the one you're talking about. Okay, what number is that again?
number 7.
Right. All of you probably should hang around for this question. And the reason I want to say that is that I can tell you right now, it's a stinker of a question. And it's, if I believe, oh, I can't remember. Is it dy by dx or is it different letters?
dy by dx.
Oh, at least that's good. And it's, I think it was 2xy. And then it's something like e to the x squared. I'm not sure what else.
X to the 3rd times e to the x squared.
Okay, so a pretty standard looking, but not very standard linear differential equation. By the way, you should know that that's a linear differential equation. If this appeared in the final, it's linear. Can you see it's got derivative so many x's, y equals so many x's? If that had been a variable separable question, which I guess it could be, wouldn't it look more like this guy? In which case, and then you would do the old weird fraction stuff, right? Do you see that one isn't the same as this one? Can you see there is a distinct difference? So hopefully, because you got to know what differential equation, isn't it? Because isn't variable separable totally different from how you solve this one? Right, so back to this question. Stage 1 is done. So p of x is 2x and q of x equals x cubed e to the x squared. Imagine this is a final question. These are the kind of things I'm looking for, because I can see who you're using for the P and Q. You know, maybe you forgot something or you did something wrong. At least I know what you're doing and I can give you the partial credit. Now, the integration factor is the integral of this guy, which is the integral of 2x, which ends up being e to the x squared. So have you noticed this isn't one of these nice ones where the thing, you know, a log of an e and they cancel out and you just end up with x, right? It's a pretty ugly integration factor. And then we do this guy. Again, wouldn't this be, I need to make sure that I have this formula either written down or in my head. Because if you don't have that formula, isn't this question kind of dead? You're going to find it quite hard to recover. Now, it's 1 over e to the x squared. The integral of e to the x squared times x cubed e to the x squared dx. And I did say this question is a stinker, and it is. I'm going to rewrite this guy as e to the negative x squared just because it looks pretty. I'm going to combine these. And if I believe I mentioned that to you when we were doing it, right, Mia? Now, you are looking at x cubed e to the power of 2x squared. I'm going to do that over here. Now we have to choose the right technique. The vast majority of these questions are U subs or integration by parts, right? That's what they tend to be, a U sub or an integration by parts. This is not a pretty one. This isn't even a standard one. This is a yucky one, right? Which method? Integration by parts or U sub? You're going to say one of them and it's 50-50 chance of being the right one.
By
Would
part.
it be U sub?
It's, I'm glad I heard both answers because it is in fact a U sub. Now, if you tried integration by parts, you would make this fella F and you'd make this guy G because there isn't any other option. But if you do integration by parts on this, when you get to the minus integral bit, it ends up being just as ugly as the guy you had a few minutes ago. And so that's kind of a sign, not the way to go. Now, I wish this one was a very nice U sub and that it would turn out nice, but it's not. What U sub do you think you should use in this question?
X to the 4th?
Nope.
Oh.
I can kind of see why you want x to the 4 because that x cubed would come out, right? But that's not the choice.
Would it be the 2x squared?
You could do 2x squared. I'm just going to pick the x squared just to make the math cleaner. But 2x squared would eventually work. Now, if you differentiate with respect to x, you get 2x. If you do the crossover, you get that. If you divide both sides by 2x, you get that. And you are going to think it's not working. But trust me, it is working. This fella becomes e to the 2u, and this dx becomes 1 over 2x du. And with a little bit of cancelling, we get that. Isn't that normally a bad sign that if you do a U sub, there's some x's left over, right? That's normally a bad sign, but it's not a bad sign this time. What can I replace the x squared with?
U.
And now what we have is that. Now, what method do you think I'm going to use to integrate a half u e to the 2u.
Integration by parts.
And I'll call this guy F and I'll call this guy G. So do you see this was extra stinky, right? U sub didn't get you the answer. U sub led you to a question that now allows you to get the answer. And this one is going to be integration by parts. So it's F of U, capital G of U, take away the integral of F dashed of U, capital G of U. Well, that is a half U. Be careful here. What is the integral of e to the 2u? It's not just e to the 2u. What else do you get when you integrate e to the 2u?
A half in front of the
Yeah. Agreed. And the derivative of a half u is a half, and the integral is that guy. So what we have now is 1/4 u e to the 2u, take away 1/4 e to the 2u. Do you see it's coming out? Right, it's getting somewhere. 1/4 u e to the 2u. If you integrate this, you get an extra a half again, so that's why it's now 1/8. And this guy gets replaced by x squared. And 2u becomes 2x squared. And this guy also becomes 2x squared. So switch places. Our solution is e to the negative x squared, this fella, plus c. Are we good?